All right, so this is your final review. This is going straight off of the USA Test Prep review. So a good idea would probably be to pull these videos up on your phone or another computer or your tablet, and then pull up the actual review itself on USA Test Prep on your Chromebook. Okay. So this first question says that she collects quarters from a fountain every day for 10 days. And the table is how many she collected. If she collected 30 quarters on day 11, what would happen to the mean? So it's wanting to know, is that mean going to go up or down? What that essentially is asking is 30 higher than our mean? Okay, because if 30 is higher than our mean, it means it's going to make it go up. Just from eyeballing it, I can see that 30 would be the highest number in this list. In fact, it would be the maximum. So I'm already thinking that it would probably make this mean go higher. Because if we have a bunch of grades in the grade book and then you add in 100, it's going to bring your grade up. If you add in a higher number, it's going to bring your grade up. But just to be safe, we can go into our calculator, go into stat, edit our list 1. We've got 8, 14, 17, 2, 20, 18. And there's our 10 pieces of data. We can see, we can stat, calculate, and our one variable statistics of list 1 means our mean is 14.3. That's our original. Now we can go in and test it. We can add in 30 as our last day. So we go over to our list and we go back down to the bottom and we're taking our last day that we didn't have and we're putting in a 30 and we're going to see what happens to that mean. I'm thinking it's going to go up, and it does. It goes up to 15.7. Okay? So our new mean is 15.7. In fact, it does go up. Should be higher. Number 2, what is the value of x? This is a problem where you have to do something you've seen before, but it might have been a while, where you cross multiply. Okay? So we multiply our top left, our bottom left, and our top right. We go diagonal. All right? This first one in red, what that is x plus 2 times 5. Well, that looks like this. Okay, 5 multiplied by our entire binomial, x plus 2. This equals our equal sign that was there that I accidentally wrote over. It drops down. What we have is 15 times x plus 1. Now I've got some distribution to do. When I do my distribution, I get 5x, and I get plus 10. What that equals is 15x plus 15. Now I'm just ready to solve this equation. I would subtract 5x from both sides. That's just because I know this is going to stay positive. While doing that, I'm also going to subtract 15 from both sides. Okay? When I do that, these are going to cancel, and these are going to cancel. That way I've got all my x's on one side and all my regular numbers on the other. Negative 5 equals a positive 10x. Divide by 10, divide by 10. And that means x equals a negative 1/2 because those cancel. Okay? So it should have been option C. This says Dakota's weight at age 4 through age 8. What is the rate of change? Okay, rate of change means slope. Well, to calculate slope, we need 2 points, and it says age 4 and age 8. That means this is a point 4, 40, and this is a point 8, 60. Okay, those are my 2 points I need. Well, that's an x1 and a y1, and an x2 and a y2. And why do I use all these things? I use all these things because to calculate slope, I know that m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? Now to calculate that, I know that's going to be 60 minus 40. I'm just grabbing these from up here on my points, divided by 8 minus 4. What that is a 20 on top, a 4 on bottom, and my slope is a positive 5. Answer should have been D. Number 4, which graph displays the solution to 2 minus x is less than or equal to -8? So on this question, you can actually hover over these lines and see them more clearly than this. They're a bit hard to show on this review. But before I can even start worrying about that, I've got to get x by itself. Okay? Most people like to leave x where it is. If you actually add x to both sides, it makes this problem quicker and easier. But let's go ahead and leave it on the left side because it makes it easier to read. If I'm going to leave x, that means I've got to move everything else away from it. If I subtract 2 and subtract 2, I get that -x is less than -10. And I divide by -1 and divide by -1. That cancels, I get x, and then I pause. Whenever I divide or multiply by a negative number, this sign has to flip. So I see that x is greater than a +10. Greater than a +10. When I'm looking through my answers, whenever you hover over this one, you see that our line is at 10 right here. And they've shaded this way. Should be an open circle there. Okay. The difference between it and this one down here that's D is that circle. D is the same thing, except for it's got a big closed circle here. That closed circle would be or equal to. Okay. But this equation just had a greater than sign, so we should end up with B as our answer. Number 5, which statement is true? Well, I see just from looking at these, you can also graph them, but I see that they have the same slope and different y-intercepts. So when I go to graph these, you're going to have an equation that looks like that and another parallel equation that's up above it. Okay? So I know that if I'm thinking about this system, they have no solution. That shows up in 2 options. Okay? So I know A and B are out. Or I'm sorry, I know C and D are out. A and B are my only 2 chances. But now I'm down to a 50-50 shot. I've got to know a little bit of definition. Specifically, when we talk about consistent and non-consistent, okay? From our definition, consistent meant that the lines cross. Now remember, that could be either that they intersect in one spot, or it could mean that they were the exact same line and intersect everywhere, but it means they're consistent. These are not consistent because they never are going to touch. They're never going to cross. They're never going to provide a solution. So our answer should have been B. Number 6, given that F equals this equation, this is just Fahrenheit to Celsius conversions, we want to solve for C. So we've got this equation. And they just want us to solve for C. Well, the first step is subtract by 32. Subtract by 32. This F and 32 don't combine. They just sit there next to each other. Okay? They're not like terms. And then we have this 9/5 C. Now, to get rid of this 9/5, you can do it in 2 pieces or in 1. Okay? This is a 9/5. And so to get rid of that fraction, we actually multiply both sides by 5/9, okay? If you're not sure about that or you forget and you want to check it in your calculator and yours does it much prettier than this one does, if you do 9 divided by 5 times 5 divided by 9, it equals just a plain old 1. That's called the reciprocal. So what happens when these 2 pieces multiply together is we're left with a 1C, which is just a C. Okay? This left-hand side, really nothing changes. All right? We've got 5/9, and we're multiplying it by F minus 32. And there it is right there, option A.